Welcome, everyone. I am Robin Rice from robinrice.com, and today I am interviewing Brenda Bernstein from the essayexpert.com, theessayexpert.com, on LinkedIn for the small business owner. Brenda did a wonderful job helping me when I was getting my profile into shape when I was first starting out on LinkedIn, and she has an amazing team as well. She is one of only a handful of certified master resume writers and certified executive resume masters worldwide. She holds a degree in English from Yale and a JD from NYU, both with honors. And her team of award-winning writers use their talents to insert the wow factor into every client's writing project. She offers LinkedIn profile writing and coaching and is the best-selling author of How to Write a Killer LinkedIn Profile, which I highly recommend. I read that before or maybe right after I contracted with her. So welcome, Brenda, and thank you for joining me and helping us dip our toes into LinkedIn.
You're welcome. And I want to just put a little plug that I have a new edition coming out. So it's going to actually look like LinkedIn looks now, and that's going to be coming out hopefully within a couple of weeks. Yeah, the 11th edition for 2015.
Wow. You are so good at keeping that up. I notice when I go in there's always, there's something new, so that's really wonderful.
Yeah, there's always something new. We work hard over here to keep everyone up to date.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's dive right in. So basic, why is LinkedIn good for the small business or the solopreneur who maybe has used a different social media up to this point and is interested in LinkedIn?
Well, I would say anyone who is targeting business people, whether you're targeting them as consumers or as other businesses, LinkedIn is a great place to be. You've got, if you're working internationally, of course, LinkedIn is a great place to be, probably the best place to reach people internationally. There's a Fortune magazine article last year about it's called LinkedIn, how it's changing business and how to make it work for you. And the journalist in that article basically said that LinkedIn is now one of the most powerful business tools on the planet. That's a big statement to make, and I think it's really true. There are over 300 million people. I think it's probably up to 350 million or more out there on LinkedIn. And that's a big customer base. So I would say tap into it. And you might not be doing, if you're a B2C and you're, selling cupcakes, LinkedIn might not be the best place, but, maybe it is, because on LinkedIn, maybe you get the corporate events and you bring your cupcakes that you might not get on Facebook. So it's just a way to think about how to connect with other businesses, other professionals. There are a lot of professionals out there who might be looking for coaches. You have a coaching practice, or even if you have a massage practice, it's a way in to work with people. The average income level on LinkedIn is fairly high, so you might actually like that audience. Facebook, it's just everybody. And LinkedIn, you can actually tap into people who are used to dealing in a professional level, might have the money to pay for that massage. So if you can get yourself out there and put information out, why not? Join the local group where the business owners are hanging out and start talking about the benefits of massage, and you could pick up some clients. So I'd say be on LinkedIn.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love the international aspect that you mentioned too, because I now have very high-level executives that are, I don't know what we call them on LinkedIn, that are connections on LinkedIn in many different countries that I would never have met otherwise. People in the oil industry, people in, just every industry. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, so for me as a resume writer, who offers, it's really a B2C business. I have clients who find me through LinkedIn and through my book about LinkedIn, of course, but I've got clients all over the world. China, everywhere.
Fascinating. So can you walk me step by step through how a person might find me on LinkedIn and what they would be looking to see? So how do I get found?
Sure. Well, if let's say I'm looking for someone, and I actually do not have a paid account, so I have the same capability as probably most of the people listening in here. And there's actually a lot of capability to find people on LinkedIn. So what I would probably do as a non-paid user is I would use the advanced search function. There are a lot of fields that I can actually fill in, including the keywords that I'm searching for. So if I'm looking for an executive coach, I would put in executive coach. Then I could choose the location where I wanted to find them. And there are various, I can choose, I might be able to choose their educational institution and the type of work they do. So there's certain fields that you can search as a non-paid user. If you are a paid user, you can fill out the grayed out ones. When you're non-paid, there are some of those fields that are grayed out and you can't search in them. So I would do that. And then what would come up in my search would be the people who best match my keywords within my network. And they're going to be sorted by the people I'm directly connected with, so my first level connections. And this is not universally true. It gets mixed up sometimes, and I don't think anyone completely understands the LinkedIn algorithm, but mostly I'm going to get my first level connections first, and I'm going to get my second level connections, which are the first degree connections of my first degree connections. And then there's going to be a mishmash of third degree and not really connected. Somewhere in there will be people who are in my groups on LinkedIn. There are going to be some of those profiles that I can read. My first and second degree connections, generally I'll be able to read. The third degree and not connected, I won't be able to read. I'm going to get 100 search results as a non-paid user. If I'm a paid user, I can get more search results.
Okay.
So that's how I'm going to look. And then I'm going to click on the ones that look good to me, and as a human being, I'll just read what they have to say. So the first thing, if you want to be found, is you need to have the keywords that people are searching for.
Right.
I have in my...
Literally in your title and in the body of your profile. That's what you mean?
Yes, especially in the headline, also in your job titles, also in your summary section, in your interests section, as many places as you can naturally put those keywords, you want to put them. And I say naturally, like I don't like it when people write their entire, I could write executive resume writer, executive resume writer, executive resume writer.
Sure.
100 times in my summary, and that might have me come up in searches, but it certainly won't have people very happy when they read my profile, right?
Right.
So you need to balance those two things out.
Right. So they're looking to see when they come to they've searched me, they've said, oh, that's an executive coach, and they look at me, then what are they looking for? What do they want to see right off the bat that makes them go a little deeper?
Well, they want to see a headline that agrees with who you say you are. If you have room in your headline, write something about the value that you offer. Mm-hmm. But I would say your priority, if you want to be found, is the keywords. If you can include keywords in what you have to offer, then you're really good.
Right. And that's what you're good at. You're good at
flying high. You're flying high. Yeah, we do that. We help you do that.
Right, because I remember you were able to get all of those words in there in a way that still felt like it was actually a lead title, not.
Yeah. So if you can do both, that's ideal. In my personal profile, I've chosen to mostly put keywords. So I have executive resume writer, LinkedIn profiles, college essay, that sort of thing. Those are the things that I offer, and I change it from time to time. And when it's college admission season, I might have that there and then maybe take it out when it's slower and put something else in. And so you can also play around with your title a little bit. If you don't want everyone to see that you've played around with your title, you can turn off your notifications and then make your changes and turn them back on. And people still might get one notification, but they won't get a notification. Like if you're trying out different things and 17 times, they're not going to hear about it every time.
Which I do.
Yeah. So
and then
they're going to see the title, the headline.
Yeah.
They're also going to see your picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, as humans, that's the first thing we see.
Right.
We see the person's picture. So really consider what you have there as a picture. And this is, I was giving people advice to have a certain kind of picture for a long time, and I knew, I had an okay picture, but for a long time I was like, I'm telling people to do this, and I need to walk the talk,
Right.
And so a couple of years ago, I got a really good headshot, and it's really made a difference. It's really true. It makes a difference because people see something that inspires them and inspires confidence, and that's who they'd rather work with or buy from.
Right. Very cool. So let's move into this idea of what is the advantage of the paid version. So I'm at a point now where I'm using LinkedIn more and more. I'm writing some longer articles. I've got I think I've got 1,200 followers now, and I've got lots of, it's really filled out and it's really, solid. And the only reason that I can see so far is that it allows me to connect with someone, a certain amount of people a month that I may want to connect with that I wouldn't, so I don't have to go to an introduction first or try to find someone that we both know or something. Besides that, you don't use it yourself, so who really feels like they're getting an advantage out of this, or what do you think the real advantage is?
Well, besides being able to connect with some people who you might not otherwise be able to connect with, and I will say about that, sometimes it looks like you can't connect with them, but there are some tricks that you can use to actually see their whole profile and connect with them. If you are in groups with them, for instance, you can always send them a message.
Yep.
So there are ways, and there are also ways that sometimes you'll get a search result and it will say John T. period. And you can't tell their last name or anything, but you can see their headline, and there are ways that they're just tricks that you can actually end up seeing it, not in every single case, but in a lot of cases. And all of that is in my book, so I recommend that you go there. If you don't want to get the paid LinkedIn service, it's a lot less expensive to get my book and read read the tips. And you'll get some tricks so you can actually connect with people who look like they're behind the Iron Curtain or whatever. So it's pretty cool. But the other thing that the paid service is good for, and that a lot of people like it for and makes it worth their while, is that you can see who viewed your profile.
Right.
You can see a couple of people who viewed your profile if you have the non-paid service, but with the paid service, you really see everyone who viewed your profile unless they have blocks on who can see them. So you get a lot more information on who is checking you out, and then you're able to reach out to those people.
Yes.
To me, that is the main advantage of the paid profile. And for me, at least so far, I haven't chosen to go down that road, but it might help me. Maybe there are hundreds of people every day, and they're looking at my profile and their potential clients, and I'm losing those opportunities.
Sure.
So that would be probably the best reason that I know of to have the paid service. For a while, it was paid members. Oh, and the other thing is that you come up higher in searches, and you have a little bit of a fancier, it says premium on your account, and I think in some cases you'll come up higher in searches, and so you get a little more flash.
Is that good, though? Is it good to have it be obvious that you're paying there? Does that work against you? Okay.
No, I don't think it works against anyone.
Okay.
It used to be that the paid members were able to get a background, the kind of, I like to call it the backsplash, but LinkedIn calls it your profile background. So you get a nice image behind your head in your picture, or and now everyone can have that. So, for
Right.
a while I was like, oh, I really want to have some more interesting thing behind my head than this just a blue. It was just blue. And I saw all these people with premium profiles and these cool things behind, pictures of their books and their awards and other images, and I was like, wow, that looks cool. Maybe I will get a paid service. And then they made it available to everybody. So that was pretty cool. So I would say use that. Get something created for you. I am not a graphic designer myself. I had one of my assistants created something for me, and now I have kind of a cool background on my profile, which I like.
Wonderful.
And that's another thing people notice, when they first look at your profile. They might not even know that they're noticing it, but if you have something cool there, I think it speaks louder than just having a blue background.
Sure.
Be careful.
Absolutely.
Be careful about what you put back there. If there are words, like different devices will show it differently, and your head might be covering up things, and so you do have to be a little bit careful and not make it too fancy, or people won't be able to see it.
Right.
I wanted to go back also, Robin, in terms of what people notice in your profile.
Sure.
After the picture and the headline, the next thing that people see is the summary. Unless you've moved it, you can move it around, but generally it's appropriate to have a summary up front. And I know this is what we worked with you on, was really crafting a summary that when people see that and start reading it, they're drawn in. And and it's not just like a copy and paste of some resume thing or something in sort of half sentences. That's an opportunity to present yourself and what you have to offer and make yourself or your business sound exciting.
Right.
So make sure you do some serious thinking about how you want to present that. And you can bring your personality out. I have one client who talks about, how she wanted to be it was a girl, a woman who grew up and, she wanted to be the next Brett Favre. She's in Wisconsin. And she talks about that in her summary, and it's very personable, and she's in marketing, and so it works. And I have another one who's in sales, and she talks about bludgeoning quotas with a baseball bat. You can actually be human in your summary. Right.
Yeah, it is very much a chance to show and engage and storytell, about yourself. And that's not easy to do, which is why it's great to, step out and have an expert do it. And if you're going to do anything, I think that summary piece is really super important, that and the headline. So, cool. So I started writing the longer posts. I have only done 3 or 4. I had one picked up by LinkedIn that spread it, and it got, much bigger. But in general, I've had real good luck with putting really solid pieces. They're long, pieces that relate to my business and relate to my approach and show my approach. What do you feel now? It used to be the only LinkedIn experts really wrote for, or the Pulse leaders kind of only wrote, and now everyone can write. What's happening now that everyone can write, and is it a needle in a haystack, or is it worthwhile?
I think it's still worthwhile. I'm not like a big name on LinkedIn, but I still have some articles that get a fair number of views. And I would have to look at my emails from LinkedIn. They tell me every week how many people are viewing my posts. But I always get some people commenting on them, and I think it's definitely worth going on Publisher. And it looks really nice, and the right people I think will find you. So I still like LinkedIn Publisher, and if you get something that goes viral, you could get hundreds of thousands of views.
Right.
If you hit the right topic in the right way. There are some tricks that people have come up with to get more views. In terms of your title length, and if you just Google infographic LinkedIn publishing, you can find this infographic. It definitely got circulated quite a bit. But they go through 10 steps to dominate LinkedIn publishing, they say, and they talk about what's the optimum title length, how many images should be in your posts, should you have videos or multimedia in your post, does that help you or harm you, how many subheaders, how many words. One thing they said is that being in Switzerland is really useful, so I don't know what everyone can do about that.
Yeah, really.
No, actually they say that a neutral sentiment, that's what they say in Switzerland.
Okay.
They say keep a neutral sentiment. They perform better than having, really obviously pro or con types of articles.
Right.
Keep it really simple language. They say keep it so an 11-year-old could read it.
Mm.
We want them to be easy to read. Don't make people work too hard to read. I'm actually curious. I just wrote a blog. I don't think I've gotten it up on LinkedIn Publisher yet, but the title is, If You Haven't Thrown Up or Peed in Your Pants, You're Not Running Fast Enough. And I like wondering... I like to write about personal growth topics, not
right.
just, here's how you do this on LinkedIn, here's how you do this in a resume. And this is really about how, like, pushing your growth edge and how, when you have that feeling of nausea and, like, this is scary and I feel like I'm going to throw up, that's a sign that, like, you're really getting somewhere. And so I wrote that one, and I'm curious to see how many people like that. And how many people start reading it.
Yeah. Well, it'll certainly grab attention. So that was actually
I hope so.
That was actually one of the things that I'm curious about is that, writing about business or even just in a shared update, like on Facebook you can share anything. On Twitter you're going to, share really short things. On LinkedIn, what are people looking for in an update? When I look at the updates, is it just another shared article? Is it an inspirational quote? What gets traction?
I think, well, first of all, my feeling is that LinkedIn Publisher in some ways is becoming more sought after than just updates. I still write updates and they go out to my network. I don't write them necessarily every day. I usually keep it to, I've got a new ebook coming out. People like to hear that. Sometimes I might write, if I'm really inspired by a quote, I might put that out there. As I said, people love personal growth. Like I think we all do if we're honest about it. We all want to grow and change.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think quotes can actually get a lot of views. People like them, and they say something about who the person is who's sharing it. Like if this is something that means something to me, it says something about my character. So I do like the personal quotes. But one thing not to do is always be selling. Like don't always be posting things that are about sales and what you've been doing and what you want people to buy from you. Like that won't work. You can do one of those amidst a nice number. I know, like there's one guy who has a formula, like do this many personal things and this many sales things and this many educational things, like that. But probably different people have different numbers about that. But I would say, I don't know, 1 out of 6 might be a sales type of thing. And then just share information, share articles. If there's a conference coming up that you think people would be interested in or that you're attending and you're excited about, that's great. And you can even put something a little bit personal, like someone in your family's graduating from college, or, you can say excited about this. And people like to know you're human. They really do.
Right.
You might be surprised how many comments you get.
Yeah, would it be sort of like the water cooler in the office, where if it's appropriate for the water cooler, if it's occasional, you wouldn't want to live at the water cooler, but it's okay to throw something out there?
Well, I don't know. What are you talking about at the water cooler?
No, I'm sorry. It's an old phrase, I guess, probably.
No, I know the phrase, but people talk about a wide range of things at the water cooler. So
well, that's true. That's true. So I guess what I meant is this also a place where it's okay for us to just be people, not just people on a job?
Yes, I would say yes.
Great. Yeah. Well, obviously,
and keep
there's some water cooler things.
Keep it appropriate. Keep it appropriate. You're not going to gossip.
Right.
Like water cooler can be gossipy, and I would never encourage anyone to gossip on LinkedIn. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then each post does reflect on you, so you have to think of that, I'm sure. So is there anything else that you feel like every single person who's on LinkedIn should know that maybe we don't? Is there anything that comes to mind that's like, gosh, if I could tell everybody one thing?
Well, the one thing, if I had to choose one thing, it would be don't just put up your LinkedIn profile and connect with a bunch of people and think that that's going to actually have results for you, especially as a business person. Like maybe every once in a while someone will actually contact you, but that's going to be like the more rare situation. And what there really is to do when you're on LinkedIn is it's a networking site. So do like real networking and talk to people on the phone and have coffee and use LinkedIn when you're traveling to a city and you have, a lunch time available. Reach out to the people who are your LinkedIn contacts in that city and have lunch. Because if you want results from people, they want to feel a real human connection with you. Not just like, oh yeah, I have this, they're my connection on LinkedIn.
Right.
Like some of us think that because we're connected on LinkedIn, people are going to actually remember us or do something for us. And that's not going to happen, When I started on LinkedIn, one of the things that happened is I joined a group where the manager of the group was very active and saw I joined it, and he's like, oh, you're a resume writer. We have someone here who has this website, ilostmyjob.com. I think you guys should connect. So I connected with ilostmyjob.com, and then I was sort of connected with them for a while. We had some interesting ideas, sort of, but when things really took off for me with that connection was when I visited Austin, Texas, and I wrote to this guy, Robert Schindel, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in Texas. Let's have coffee. And we met for coffee. And then I had my laptop there, and I showed him some of my resume samples, and all of a sudden we had this great idea that I could do webinars for ilostmyjob.com. And before I knew it, I was giving webinars with like 300 to 500 people on them. I was getting people to buy my ebook, purchase services from me, and Robert himself started referring a lot of people to me to write their resumes. I wrote Robert's resume, but that all came out of actually sitting down and having coffee. That's a lot more powerful of an experience than just emailing back and forth on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Great example. Oh, thank you so much for this. This is really, I can tell people are going to get excited about jumping in if they haven't and then going further. So remind us again how people can find you and how they can find you on LinkedIn and your book.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Brenda Bernstein. Should be pretty easy to find because, and not to give more information as I'm wrapping up here, but I should be pretty easy to find because I have, I think, 4,000 connections or something like that on LinkedIn, which means I'm going to be probably a second-degree connection or with a lot of people who are listening on this call. So once you get up to a certain level,
because I'm connected to you.
Yeah, anyone who's connected with Robin is going to be able to connect with me. So I invite you to connect with me, and I invite you to do that if you can by going to my profile and actually writing me a note, because that's good practice. If you do it from your phone, you can't do that, but write me a note and let me know that you are on this call, and that's going to be one of your practices in really connecting on a human level with people rather than just sending a blanket invitation.
And can they do that even if they're a second level? What do they
second degree,
say on
yeah.
it? Do they have to?
What do they?
Isn't there you have to say how you know them? How would you say how I know you?
You can. That's a good question. You might have to put in my email address, which is brendab@theessayexpert.com.
Okay.
Again, that's brendab@theessayexpert.com. So maybe that can be included. Is there a way to include that?
Absolutely.
With the Yep. So if you have my email address, you'll be able to connect with me. So I invite you to do that. And now you have my email address if you want to connect with me that way. My website is theessayexpert.com. I'm going to have a new website in a couple of weeks, so hopefully that will be all done by then. And to get the book, How to Write a Killer LinkedIn Profile, you can either go to Amazon and search for How to Write a Killer LinkedIn Profile or just LinkedIn books, and it'll come right up. Or if you would prefer to get a PDF version of the book, then you can go to my website and get the book there in PDF form, and it's just $9.97 for the book. And then you'll also, if you want to sign up for my e-list, I have e-lists about LinkedIn. I have general e-list where you'll get those cool personal growth things that I was talking about,
right.
And you can get a free excerpt of the book if you sign up for an e-list.
Super.
And then you can also find out about the actual, more individual and substantive services that we offer for writing your LinkedIn profile.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate your time and energy and expertise.
Thank you, Robin. It's been a pleasure.
All right. I'm going to turn the thing off real quick, the recorder.